There we go. All right. So I figured I'd come out here and just do some simple work. Nothing crazy. Um, some simple sword stuff. I'm using these very modern work gloves. You need to get a nice pair of medievalish gloves. One of the ones that have like the really long cuffs. Not the ones that come up to your elbow, but the ones that cover more of your wrist. You just do some solo work stuff with the sword and the dagger. Don't know really what I'm going to do. I do want to make the disclaimer. This is not me attempting to train anybody. I'm going to tell you right now, I really don't know what I'm doing half the time. Yeah, I've studied some, I've gone to classes, I practice this stuff. It doesn't mean that I'm a master in it, so don't take my word as the word of a master. Find your local HEMA group, SCA group, anybody who wants to play with swords, LARP, and try to learn from them. I do believe that if you do HEMA, you'll be good at other things. If you do SCA, you'll be good at other things. If you do LARP, you'll be good at other things. They're not all one-for-one compatible with each other, but if you learn how to handle a sword in one way, that can translate into doing other stuff. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to play around. I'm just trying to have fun. I'm just trying to I'm just trying to have fun, just trying to exercise, and just entertain as well, which is why I'm out here and I'm filming this and doing this. But yeah, so, but if you have any questions about anything, yeah, I will go over some of my basic guards and stuff. The way I was taught these guards, I don't have all the names for all the guards that I practice, but I do kind of understand some of the historical application, or at least what you would find in a fencing manuscript. Basically, each guard that I was taught and how they work, they come from start on each side of the body, and all represent either a active threat or passive threat. And we'll begin with some of the simplest guards from the top, and we'll work into some of the lower guards, and so on. So the first couple guards you'll always see entered is going to be kind of this shoulder guard from here, the way we look on either side, and both deliver downward cuts, either with that step or that retreat, or even not, And you can come off either side with the foot. If you're starting with the rear foot, obviously it gives you a lot more. But if you're starting with your dominant leg, you're stepping into that, you'll develop more power. But you can still, from the opposite leg, but then it also allows you to step offline. You can also still step offline with your dominant leg instead of your passive leg, or your non-dominant. So those are the two top guards. Both of them come down in their most simplest ergonomical sense of a cut. Now they can also come up with ease as well by just dropping off the shoulder and then coming up. And it's not that you're dropping in a guard and then coming up. You're making it one fluid motion to come up. You always want to make sure that when you're cutting, you're trying to cut with that good edge alignment, because you don't want to come up flat, you want to come up with the edge. Same thing, cut it down. You don't want to cut down flat, you want to cut down with the edge. So you have these two, which are really nice passive guards. You can cut with them. I can press with it. I can guard into a cut. Just however, and so on and so forth. So those are just the two, and they're very simple guards. It's very easy to just kind of let it rest around your shoulder, not on your shoulder, just around your shoulder. You don't want to be on the shoulder because then you have to reactivate it. But if you're here, it's easy. But if you're here, it's a bit more effort because you want it's still a passive guard, but it isn't a lazy guard. So those are the two primary top guards. There are other top guards, such as bomb tog, which is the roof guard, the raft guard, whichever you want to do it, call it. And I can come straight down, I can come off to the sides, right? I can come up into a cut from high, but really, when I'm doing this, I'm just asking to get stabbed or thrust or cut anywhere in my upper body, because I don't have a lot of blocking ability. I can make cuts to come over somebody's guard, but if I'm doing that, I might as well already start from a shoulder blade to make that upwards cut, or downward cut. There's that. There's, of course, the ox guards, which I can deliver that work with a kind of helicopter cut. I can also from off cut down relatively easy. Right. I can also cut up from ox. But there's a lot more margin for me to get struck while I am transitioning from ox to cut. I can also wheel cut from ox, but that's more better if I'm being attacked. If I'm an ox on my right and somebody's throwing into my left, I wheel the block and deliver my cut, like so. Same thing from the left, right. Move. There's those. Those are ox, or the ox guard, because it's the horns of an ox. There's also there's a transitional, which is kind of the unicorn guard, because you go from ox, unicorn, to your other ox. Not a very, from here to here, I'm not really changing much. I can still make a downward cut that's this is also a very weird weighted sword, so it doesn't really feel good for me to do that. But from here, and from ox too, I can also deliver very short thrusts, depending on where it is. Same thing from the guard of the unicorn guard. I can just make a straight thrust. And of course, you could probably also get in and, probably not actually. You could, but you leave yourself a large margin of error to be struck doing that. The unicorn, ox, your shoulder guards, and then that bomb tog, that high roof guard. What else is there? That's up top. There's guard of the lady, which is Fiore's guard. With the deep shoulder guard, I can come up. I can still make thrusts from here, though I would say it is not as great. I can still cut up, you know, but sorry, lady. And there's some discourse on whether this is how they thought women held swords, or if this is supposed to represent like a woman brushing or braiding her hair. I like the second option because it kind of makes more sense that they would name it after something that they saw, much like with ox and your leaf guard. There's also crown guard, which is kind of a weird transitional guard right here, right? Because now I'm blocking my crown with the cross of my sword. I can still cut. I can still make cut, turn on to thrust. Yeah, I feel like that's more of a transitioning guard than an actual just like stagnant guard. All guards are meant to be transitioning to one another, but much like the unicorn, you're transitioning from your right or left ox over. There you go. You have your ox, unicorn, ox. Kind of like that. Excuse me. Got some spit. What else is there from the top? There are others that I can't think of right now. So let's move on to the lower guards. Lower guards can be the guard of the fool, tail guard. Guard of the fool is kind of easy. It's a very gentle guard, but I can parry cut. I can parry thrust. I could just kind of try to snipe, nice little undercut to the hand. Boom, come up into a guard to make sure I don't get hit. It's also a nice baiting guard. So I'm sitting here, kind of leaned forward in it, just waiting for them to strike for me to be able to boom right. You can do it from the opposite side too, right? Goes on this side. Full guard, two sides. Tail guard, also just very passive guard. I can cut up in it. I can cast out a thrust. I can even cut downward. The tail guard from the other side, I don't like having my arms crossed this much. Full guard from here is fine, but tail guard from here, I'm having to cross my arms along the way. And of course, in protective HEMA gear, you add more bulk to your forearms and hands, and with a shorter grip length like this, it kind of makes it harder to make and maintain control over the pommel. Even without wearing everything, a lot of stuff, I'm still barely holding onto the pommel. Right? There's those. There's also the boar, which is like the boar's tooth. I come up, thrust, right, same thing. I come up, I can thrust, I can parry, cut, right, boom, boom. Because it's like a boar rearing up with its tusks. It's all down here, movements, right? Those. So that was the fool, the tail, boar. I think there's others, Iron Gate and whatnot. I don't really recall those ones because I don't use them that often, especially with SCA wearing armor and rattan swords don't always equate good to the transition of some of these guys. Then there's also some middle guards, mostly. No, this is the Iron Gate. Sorry. So you have some Iron Gate. I'm pretty sure this is Iron Gate. I could be wrong. Or plow, which would be from either side, and then if you're long. Language in German. I don't know what the post is in Italian. I'm not that smart now. But yeah, your gate and your long guard. You could have the cross parallel to your body, or to the ground. Any of these. And those are some of the basic cards. As I know, like I said, I'm no master at this. Don't take my word as the word. And then there's the seven cuts, 9 cuts that I practice, which are all from. Mostly you start from the shoulders, but you also go into. You can also do it in other guards, but and those are pretty simple. You have they're performed with steps. So I'm going to go step, cut, come back up, cut, come back up, step, then undercut, and then we're going this middle cut, and then thrust, and then cut. I don't know if I'll be able to do it in camera. Also, hard to do. But yeah, so cuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, thrust, 7, 8, 9. That's that. 7, 8, 9. Probably should have stepped with my appropriate legs with that one, but kind of get the idea. Yeah, those are basic cuts. I've gone over these in another video, and they are what they are. I'm not trying to teach you things. I'm just trying to show you. I'm just trying to entertain you. What else? Other things I like to practice are cuts from coming in from my scabbard is draw cutting, right? So we're defending with the scabbard. So let's say somebody's trying to thrust at me with their sword, I can parry it with the scabbard, pull, and thrust. On the other side, so y'all can see, they're thrusting at me with their sword, or their dagger or something, or spear, probably not a spear. The distance would be greater, but I parry, pull, thrust, right? Or let's say they're cutting down at me, or stabbing, thrusting down at me with their dagger, or they're cutting down at me with their sword. I see it happening, and I pull, and stay, right? I could also do it in that reverse grip. I also cast my scabbard at them. Make that cut. Over the scabbard as well. It's sturdy enough. Thank goodness. I've done that in grass. I don't normally do that with concrete. So they're coming at me. Oh shit. Right? Because really, I'm just trying to create a distraction or persuade them to not come at me. Oh, this is really good wooden scabbard. I was not expecting it to last, but it is. Other things, I kind of like the idea of, being assailed from your rear and your forward. I'm like, oh no, they're both coming at me. I'm gonna throw a scabbard at the front, engage with this guy, and then, walked off camera again, and then engage with that other thing, because it gives me a chance. Oh, they're both coming at me. Cast, and then cast. Whether or not that would work, who knows? I don't know exactly how to test that and be safe, especially since I'm throwing a metal-tipped wooden scabbard at somebody. I'm certain there's methods to do it. I just need to find people who are willing to test that with me. There's also like draw cutting, which I already think I talked about. Let's say somebody's striking at me here, boom. Drawing into a block, or a block, cut, stab, whatever. All right, block, hook, cut. I have options I could do there. One of the things that I don't think gets trained enough, or I try to train more, is I notice there's a lot of teaching from the dagger or which is fine, because you need to learn how to fight with the dagger with it drawn, right? But oftentimes, I do not believe that in a lot of what would you call it? A lot of conflict, you'd be walking around with your dagger already. So to assume you already can quickly draw the dagger, I don't feel is the right way to go about things. Right? So part of learning how to fight with a dagger, or a weapon in general, you should learn to draw. It's the same thing like, I think it would be the same concept. I don't know, I'm not a gun guy, but it'd be the same concept of learning how to, pull, draw, and put rounds down range. Because, you're not going to walk into a situation already holding your gun. Like, if you're a law-abiding citizen, you probably have it holstered in either your open carry or concealed carry, whatever your state permits, that you have to learn how to pull fire, makes sense, especially if you're like, the guy's 2 inches from you and he tries to attack you or whatever, and then you have to learn how to boom, 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 whatever that is. Same thing with the dagger, is if he's already on me, I need to learn how to attack from the draw. You learn how to attack from the draw, because especially in armor, is typically you're fighting with your sword first, right? You're fighting from half sword, blah blah blah, whatever. Fighting, and then he either grabs your sword or he tries to get in close enough to rescue you, so you have to abandon your sword. I'm not going to drop that on concrete. You have to abandon your sword, get into the wrestling positions, and then be able to boom, stab. Because you're not, unless the agreed upon rule set, oftentimes in harness fighting, it is, I want to fight a sword, spear, poleaxe, whatever, or dagger. Sometimes you are already drawn. You already enter the field with your dagger already drawn. However, that's not always the case. But if the dagger's in play, you need to learn how to draw, right? You learn how to draw their dagger from them. It's all, you have to learn these things. So either you have to learn how to know where it is without looking at it, because you gotta be able to, close my eyes, you gotta be able to know by feel where it's sitting on your hip. You know, pulling it. I'm not a lefty. Oh no, my chicken. That's unfortunate. That sucks. Huh. Okay. I'll have to remember to take that back to the house. But you do need to learn how to draw and be proficient in draw, whether you're drawing from that kind of naval pistol grip, or if you're drawing from your ice pick grip, drawing from your fencer to a fencer's grip, or even if he has taken your weapon from you and you manage to get that distance, you still need to be able to draw, right? Because not everything's going to be you're fighting in range and then you learn have to know how to draw at range. You also have to know how to draw while you're exiting out of the game. That way you're safe. I mean, this is kind of hard to do pressure testing by yourself, but you can, like I would imagine with, once again, if you're a gun guy, you probably will sit at home with your empty piece and just learn how to get that draw and that ready stand. Same thing, You're sitting here, relaxed, deep breath, and then you draw. Relaxed, deep breath, then you draw. Right? Relaxed, deep breath, draw. You have to learn how to do those things, because if you don't learn how to do those things when that pressure does come, you're not going to be ready. You need to learn how to do it safely and efficiently. Then you need to learn how to do it under pressure, and then you need to learn how to do it in the actual situation. Which, of course, you're not going to really be pulling a dagger out in a self-defense situation. In the real world, I mean, 10% chance, maybe 1% chance, more than likely. But 99% of the time in a self-defense situation, you probably aren't pulling a dagger. Maybe a knife, which still you need to learn how to be able to pull it and not discharge. I guess it'd be discharge. Discharge a knife. Same thing. You got to learn how to pull a gun, discharge a gun. Go from a neutral position to a ready position. And yeah. Let's do some. So there's a few things I guess I could talk about with the dagger. So like there. So there's two main grips with the dagger you'll see in almost every any manuscript. You'll have your fencer grip. So say it's the same thing if you're holding a sword. You're not hammer gripping it, you're kind of lightly just holding it kind of like that. And even though this is a pretty heavy sword, like in a fencer's grip, I'm not having to crank down. I want to be light, I want to be able to maneuver, turn, be able to index the blade with my thumb, go into whatever kind of positioning I need to with it. Same thing with the dagger. That's basic dagger grip, fencer's grip. I'm not holding like this. I'm not going to get a lot of range like that. I'm going to have to hold it like that in order to get my thrust. And then, of course, there's the ice pick grip, the reverse grip. I'm holding it more hammer-like, but you're not striking, you're stabbing. Knowing how to transition in grips. You're not going to be transitioning like this that often, I don't feel. It just doesn't seem as safe. It's not as easy to do, to twirl it like that. There's an easier way in doing it outside of range between you and your opponent is safer. So I can start here, right? From here, and transfer it here. And it's kind of like you're half swording the dagger, but you're really just supporting it with your offhand to be able to change your grip in your on hand, right? Here, same thing here. This also sometimes is a guard where you can boom, hook, grab, or if like we're in, I can hook around your neck and wrench you down. So yeah, transferring grip, if you're feeling froggy, you can transfer like this. I wouldn't. That split second of it being not firmly in your hand, for me, is too risky to do. I still recommend practicing it just because it makes it easier if you do stumble the dagger, you're able to grab it. It'd probably be easier with a Quillian or Belsart or something that doesn't have the rondelles, because these things do kind of, especially this rear rondelle, kind of interferes with a change like that. But honestly, this is a better way to change grip. You're standing outside of range. You're not in range. You're outside of range. You're sitting there. It's like, okay, am I going to attack with the ice pick? Am I going to attack with the fencer's grip? Is what it is. Great things I like about rondelles is typically they're not edged. Oftentimes they're not edged, which is still grab an edged one and club somebody with it. That'd be more of an unarmed thing. Is you can either club them with it, boop, or the back of the head, or you come up, bap, and you club them with it. Not a common thing. I don't think any manuscript tells you to grab the blade of your dagger, bludgeon somebody, but like if you're behind somebody, you want to subdue them without killing them, you just go up to them, smack them in the head. But yeah, transferring grip. Those two main ways are your best. This is your best way. This is your more risky, but it looks cool. Looks like I know what I'm doing. Do I know what I'm doing? Probably not. But this, I'm confident, more confident in this, especially outside of range. So you have your fencing grip, which delivers really great upward thrusts, straight thrusts, not really great downward thrusting. But this I can get up, and if we're fighting and I've got him locked up, I can thrust up into his groin. I can thrust into the back of his leg. If he doesn't have leg and arm, or doesn't have the inside of the thigh covered, I can thrust into the inside thigh, into the armpit. I can thrust straight into here. I can also try to thrust up underneath and stab, which works. Just getting up close, pushing his head back, and then trying to deliver the thrust there. Or if we're in close and I've got my head against him, I can thrust up underneath. It's a very useful hand positioning with the dagger. It's kind of like, think about like you're casting spells, stab, stabiosa. Reverse grip, ice pick grip, I think is more appropriate in armored fighting. There's not going to be a lot of power coming straight down. And this also helps us, like if we're in and we're hugging and I've got him hugged, I can thrust around him, I can thrust into his ab and tail. I can still thrust up underneath, just not as well. I can thrust behind pretty decently, right? And this is also one of those points where it's like, if I'm fighting, I've done this before, it's like we're fighting, I abandon the sword, I lock their arm up, open up space, pull, and then stab, right? Which in a situation where I'm locked, I've got his sword, I've been disarmed with my sword, right? It's now just a quick, and that's where you really need to learn how to do that draw. I can thrust from the other side here. I have a range of motion that ends right about here. I'm not going to, in very few instances am I going to be able to underhand thrust from here. I will be able to, do a regular fencing thrust from here, fencer's guard thrust from here, I can fence thrust him down. But if I'm in an ice pick grip, I can thrust very well from all these angles. So I don't really know guards with the dagger. There's nothing that I've ever seen that says this is this guard with the dagger. It's like, no, it's mostly he's holding it here or he's holding it here, and these are where he can thrust. But honestly, if I'm going to say whether or not there are certain guards, there are things that look like certain guards in the manuscripts. But if I'm going to say there are any guards with the dagger, I'd say you have a guard from your right shoulder, a guard from your left shoulder, and a guard from your left hip with the ice pick grip. With the underhand grip, you have a guard here and a guard here. That's really about it for the ice pick grip. Or you have the transition hand guard. And those are the only real guards that I would say exist. I don't think any of them have specific names, but these are the only guards that I know that work with the dagger. And from each of those guards, from the underhand ice pick grip here, I can step forward into a thrust there. From my right shoulder, step forward into a thrust there. Or from my left shoulder, thrust. And then from my right shoulder, same thing, thrust in there. If I'm going from my fencer's grip, I can thrust up here, I can thrust down, or come to the side and thrust up, right, thrust around to the side, same thing here, boom. You can't really turn and thrust here, you thrust like that, you thrust under, transitional thrust, I don't know if that really worked. And then from this, I can stick here, I can either thrust here, I also block thrusts, boom, I block a thrust, grab, and then stab. Same thing from here, I can also block a thrust, hook it, strip, and then stab. Or from here, I get block, grab, stab. That's kind of basically it. I don't think I could be wrong. There could be medieval dagger fighting manuscripts out there that talk about the exact naming of the positions guards with a dagger. Though I highly doubt that. I haven't found any. But just because I haven't found any doesn't mean there aren't any out there. But yeah, if you guys want to make discussion in the comments of the video, please do so. Of course, be kind and articulate in your comments. If you disagree with what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to disagree with it. I'm, like I said multiple times, I'm not trying to teach, I'm just trying to entertain. If you want to learn from these videos, I don't recommend learning from these videos, but I do hope that if you do want to learn sword fighting, sword fencing, and just in general medieval stuff, find your local medieval group. Learn how to sword fight, whether it's HEMA, whether it's a LARP, whether it's the SCA, or any of the other groups out there. Go to those groups, learn what they're about, and see if it's what you want to do. Because a lot of people will find the SCA and realize that's not really what I want to do, and then they'll go and join a HEMA group, or they'll go join a LARP group. Same things. A lot of people will join HEMA and be like, this is fun, but I want to do what the SCA is doing, or I want to do what LARP's doing, vice versa. Or if you want to learn and just do fun medieval stuff, do fun medieval stuff. There's a lot of, there's a lot of big organizations, like various HEMA organizations, the SCA, there's the SMA, there's various LARP groups, Dagger here, Bellagrath, things like that. And if you want to do all of them, do all of them. If you have the time for it, hell yeah. If you don't, well, you might have to jump around and do some things. And then, and there's also, which I've recently gone to last month, the month before last, can't really remember, time's fluid to me. But there's also burgeoning reenactment groups that are starting to pop up. There's the Company of Links Argent in Oklahoma. There's the Historical Sword Guild in I'm pointing at it like it's just going to be written behind me. Missouri. There's also like Rocket City HEMA, who's not really doing reenactment, but they are doing more armored stuff and some more historical stuff that I've been noticing. And there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff. There's small groups that you just gotta you gotta dig around for them and look for them. But there are groups in the United States that do reenactment and sword fighting and a lot of other stuff. SCA is not the only thing out there anymore, but that doesn't mean that you can't also do the SCA and all these other things. Have fun. Like I said, be kind to each other in the comments. Please be kind to me too. I'm not trying to teach anybody. I'm just trying to talk to people and entertain people. Yeah, but just have fun. Go out there, figure stuff out, do things, study things, learn about history, learn about the material culture, learn about the martial culture, and just try to do the things you love. You don't have to do one or the other. You can do all of them, or you could do one or the other. It's really up to you. But yes, please leave the comments down below. Be kind, be articulate, and just have fun. Legitimately. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch y'all in the next video whenever I decide to make one and upload one. So, y'all have a good day. Bye-bye. Trying to